Well, a couple of years ago, behind this mess, I made a little secret path. It's about 20 feet, and it comes out next to that tree on the left. It goes in between those clumps of Spanish moss. So I decided to come out here and clean it up. Hurricane Milton's gonna hit day after tomorrow, but it's nice and overcast and cool today, so I can actually come out here and work. Since I have lupus, I can't go in the sun, so this place has been hard for me to maintain. I wanted to show you one of my tricks for hauling heavy debris around the yard. A little hand-pulled snow sled. Now, I can load that thing up with probably 200 pounds worth of stuff and pull it wherever I need to go. They're pretty cheap too. So I'm going to start trimming through here. I need to dig up this little volunteer tree and move him. And then I've got to cut down a bunch of things back here. There's a smilax vine that's kind of gone crazy. And I also want to show you guys how to trim trees so that they don't keep sprouting back. Because a lot of people just trim the tips of the tree branches, and all that does is stimulate more growth. What you need to do is trim it back to the main trunk, and there will be no more new growth because there won't be a branch there. So I'm going to see what I can get done, do some video as I go along, and I'll show you the before and after. I don't know how I'm going to tackle this giant clump of smilax, but I may have to wait till Mike gets here, have him help me dig them out. When I dig them up, I'll show you they have really big potato-looking tubers. But this property is just too small to have these vines take over. My other property, I had a lot of room. And these are really nice for the wildlife, so I let them roam. But this one's just taking up too much space. Alright, let's see what I can get done. Alright, now this is what I'm talking about with trimming a tree. I'd like to leave this little sapling. It's doing well. But Mike tends to trim the trees at the end of a branch, and that just makes it produce growth at the end of the branch. So what you need to do is follow it back to the main trunk, like this one coming out here to the left. I'm gonna get the loppers and cut it off at the trunk. The same with the one on the left. So that way they won't just be stimulated to grow more. It'll actually put out more energy in the upper part of the tree. And then I won't have these side branches growing out here and blocking my path. Alright, well, this is a perfect example. I probably did this myself last time I came out here, and it was too sunny for me to trim much. So I just trimmed the limb way out here. But all it did was inspire all this new growth. So it's just made more of an issue. So I'm going to cut it back to the trunk. Same thing has happened up here. So if you're trying to keep something from growing out, if you just keep trimming the end, it's just going to keep growing out and be a constant maintenance nightmare. So trim it back to the base of the tree. And trim it nice and neat up to and flush with the trunk so that you don't leave bits that start to rot. Let me see. Alright, so this is the perfect way to trim. Nice and flush, and then that will heal over. Alright, well, I made quite a bit of progress. Got just a couple piles of debris here. I found a really big, beautiful passion vine in here. Porky stem passion vine. So I wrapped it around this sapling, secured it with some Velcro, and it's coming out at the top of this little oak sapling. So that's actually a pretty good spot for it. And then I found a couple of logs and put those at the base of it to try to protect it from Weed Whacker Mike. So hopefully it will stay in good shape. I'll get some more. I might get a couple of logs from the log pile and put it in front. So I got a lot of the vines down in here. This snag, unfortunately, is probably going to come down with Hurricane Milton. We'll see. There's a big clump of smilax growing back here, which seems to be a separate plant from this grouping over here. So I'm leaving this because it's making some really nice cover for the wildlife and giving me some privacy screen from the next door neighbors building equipment. So it doesn't take much, you just gotta chip away a little bit at a time. I'm not looking forward to trying to get through here, but I think I can. There's a really beautiful grapevine going across there that I want to try to save, so I may. That beautiful brown stalk. I may try to get it up through the chain link fence and get it to go up this palm tree. We'll see when I get over here. So that's one thing when you're clearing and maintaining and creating. It's like, be creative, think about, I don't know, think outside the box. Like this guy, it's like, well, if I trim this, cut it from over here, and then thread it up through this chain link, it'll attach to that cabbage palm, and it should go up that way, instead of out here covering my path, because that's where my path needs to be. So you have to be creative, you have to kind of figure it out as you go along. Maybe something you think you were going to do didn't work out, but something else came of it. You know, it's like one path didn't work, but the other path will. So just be patient, be creative, and be grateful if you have big, beautiful native plants like this. Because some people live in condos and wish they had a half of an acre. They wish they had a couple of trees. So be grateful and appreciate the plants that you have. Okay, I'm going back to work. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. So this is how I remove smilax. cut the upper part and leave about a foot so I can see to follow it down to the root. And then I dig out the roots. And these are the roots. These big giant tubers. And you want to get all of them out, or they will just resprout. If you have a place along the fence line where you don't want people climbing your fence, you could move them there because they're very thorny. So I'm going to clear this bunch right here and then trim up the grapevine. And then my little secret path will be cleared again. Hopefully this time it'll last longer than a year. I know it will if I can get these smilax out. It's nice and dry right now, so I'm going to work toward that. Alright, well Mike got home from work early and he finished digging out the smilax clump for me. So now all I have to do is deal with the upper part. So I will just trim that off and put it in the burn pit. So this is what the tubers look like. And if you're interested, like I said before, they transplant really well. So if you had a place that you wanted to make a cover for the wildlife, or to put it along your fence to keep the neighbors from climbing your fence, you could plant these thorny guys over there. And they don't need any care. Just put them in the ground and forget about them. Okay, I got the path cleared, my little secret path. Of course, the front doesn't have much privacy anymore, but it's still a really nice place to come back here and bird watch and look for lizards and skinks. There's a really nice cabbage palm here. There's a couple of really nice oaks. There are a lot of squirrel nests, a lot of bird nests, so I like coming back here and hanging out. So once I get that done, I am so glad I finally got back to this. Yeah, I know I don't like the tuberous sword fern either, but it's what it is. It was there when I moved in, and I just don't have the energy to dig it all out. I dug some of it out when I was working today, but that's a whole other project. Well, I managed to salvage 2 volunteers. I'm not sure what kind of oak that is, but we managed to get the roots out. The taproot looks good. And then this guy, I think is either a bay or a magnolia. And it was struggling back there under the shade. So we've got 2 new trees. So, I mean, this oak is probably, what, 6-7 feet tall. I move trees this size all the time. And 9 times out of 10, they survive. So if you find that you can do that and you have a place to put it, by all means, save your volunteers. All right, I got it finished. Wanted to show you guys my new electric mower. Got a really awesome Skill electric mower. It's 40 volt, 20 inch, 5 amp hours. Runs for about an hour on one charge, and I absolutely love it. It's so much nicer than the Cobalt that I had. It's super light. You can mow within like an inch of anything. So most of the times I don't even have to get the weed eater out. If you haven't tried an electric mower yet, you really should give it a try. It's the best thing since sliced bread. Alright, so I tied up my passion vine. Came through here with my mower, trimmed up the ferns.